Um, 7:30, we're ready to go. So we have 4 applications tonight. 19 South Main Street, which is 2024, was a carryover from, I guess, our last or 2 meetings ago. We have application 2101, which is for a shed on 146 South Main Street. Actually, it's on South Street, but the house address is on Main Street. 37 South Main Street is a freestanding, I guess, a directory sign. And 10 North Main Street is at the grist mill, and signs on the bank building and the directory sign. And so we'll take them in order. So 19 South Main Street. Has everybody on the board had a chance to review all the documents up to date?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is a repeat. Do you want to say anything more, Lynn or Art? Or Lynn or Art? Do you have anything more you want to say?
No, we kind of made the improvements that you guys asked us for. We're in the process of zoning and we're just waiting to hear from you guys.
Okay. Are there any further comments from the board? I have some things, but I'd like to hear from the rest of the HARB first.
Jerry, can you tell me what we're on? I'm sorry, I just jumped on.
Oh, hi, Tim.
Hello.
We're on 19 South Main Street.
19, yeah, okay. Thought I recognized him. Yep.
Jerry, I just have one question about a clarification. I think when we left it in the last meeting, we were sort of going to defer to the town zoning board for the parking issue. Is that correct?
Okay, I was going to go over that.
Okay.
I was just looking for, I had a number of correspondence with the zoning officer on the issue.
Okay.
And I can go over that on this, as far as the building elevations and all that stuff. I have one concern that I don't think the elevations really changed much, but one concern, if the building addition is to be more contemporary, and it appears to be, then there should be a clear demarcation between the existing building and the new. And typically, if you're trying to sort of match up with the building, make it look more historic, then you sort of blend it in, the same kind of window types and everything else. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that the existing roof line at the back of the building should be preserved, the gutter line. And so that when you look at the building, you can clearly see what the original building was and what the addition is. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, let me just step in for a second. There's a reason for that. It has to do with ceiling heights. And if we were to preserve the same fascia line, we would have a low ceiling in the addition, and we don't want that.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
I have a real problem with this attempt to add a touch of modern on this building. I don't understand it. I raised the issue before. We have had a lot of buildings in town that have undergone additions. We've had some raised and some new buildings put up. And every time on Main Street within the historic district, we and the applicants, and most often generated by the applicants themselves, have attempted to blend in with the architecture that's in the town. This is a significant stone building in the heart of town. A building directly across the street is going through a massive major renovation, and that owner is, taking every effort to try to replicate and keep everything as the original building was. I do not understand this concept. To me, we should be celebrating the stone building, and the addition to the back of it should be in deference to the stone building. I know happens in places, I've been in towns where they have done modern additions to old buildings. We don't have a townscape like that. I've been in historic towns where that's been done, but it's also been confined to a certain district in the town or an area of the town. So I have a real problem with this.
Hey, Joy. Let me ask you maybe a good example in your mind, and I just would like to hear your opinion on this. So we reviewed the large addition that was put on 37 South Main, right? Just 3 doors away.
Yes.
And so would you consider that to be a little bit more appropriate in the way
Yeah.
that was done in comparison to this?
Yes.
Maybe that would be a good example to kind of set out there. I think they did personally, I think they did a wonderful job on that.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a harmonious element going on, even though it is a sizable addition, as 19 South Main is proposed as a sizable addition. So
Well,
I do, there may be other examples in town.
Well, the other examples in town are the buildings you've done. When Yardley Jewelers went up, that corner building, what did the owner say he wanted to do? He wanted to replicate as close as he could the original building. And it actually is it's a cleaned up version of the old building. I mean, yes, there were changes. We understand that. And there may be changes in materials and all of that. But we don't have these modern elements in this town on Main Street. We don't,
Right.
It's a small area.
Yeah, you're talking about the vernacular, which, many architects would study the vernacular of a town and say, what's correct to fit in here. And that you're saying that you don't believe that this fits in, right? That's what I'm hearing, right? So,
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, so I'm for 2 of the things going on here because I currently own that building and I'm attempting to sell it to the applicants. And then I have 37
Yeah.
as well. So on the addition, the current additions that were done, these are add-ons that are 3 or 4 different additions that have been done over the years. They look horrible. They don't look good as they are.
Well aware, and we've had this happen before. So when people go to renovate or reconstruct, it's a chance to clean it up and make it look better. Those additions went on before HARB. That HARB would never have approved what went on in the back of that building.
Well, some of the things that went on in the back of that building happened over 100 years ago, so they'd actually be within the historical context of that time period to begin with, because they were done during that time period. And they weren't done well, but that was the time period that we're discussing. So, we're trying to clean it up. The new applicants are trying to clean it up. So suggestions are fine, but some of these suggestions, the roof line are hard. It's all these additions that are done on these buildings, there's 3 or 4 different floor levels and ceiling levels, and they just don't match together very easily. I had that with 37. We had 4 different floor levels and 4 different ceiling levels.
Joe, do you have any comment?
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes don't feel comfortable in applying personal taste to building renovations, to be honest with you. I think the HARB mandate is Main Street facing primarily. And I sort of agree with the applicants that, multiple renovations over a 100-year period to imply that those that a reasonable, again, if we decide that this is a reasonable update of this building to make it functional and usable and attractive to occupants over the next 40 or 50 years. I mean, if I remember correctly, the plans that were submitted were significant renovations and reallocations of space to make it a more occupiable space. I mean, I think I don't feel comfortable trying to impose our opinion of what it should have been done 100 years ago on the current renovations. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not an architectural expert, and I don't pretend to be as informed as Joy or some of the others on how towns handle this. Just trying to figure out what our mandate is and what we can reasonably require of applicants.
Well, Joe, first off, this building and this addition is visible from Main Street. The side, the new addition that's proposed with the vertical siding is quite visible from Main Street. And so it all falls under HARB. And as I say, we don't have this kind of modernization of the building. The building could be fine, as far as I'm concerned, if you got rid of the modern element of the vertical siding and those large windows. If you change that to match with the rest of the addition, I wouldn't probably have a problem with it. It's just that it screams out, and I don't understand. I mean, I get that people want to do a modern thing, but look at our streetscape. What is it that we're trying to achieve in town? And to me, this will be, it's a thumb a sore thumb. It just stands out in a negative sort of way to me. I can't help.
Rita?
I don't have the original packet to refer to look at the proposed renovation, but I tend to agree with Joy in that we want to stay more with the original character of the building whenever possible. And if there's a compromise, I think that might be, the point we want to stress with reduction of the window size and, the various concerns that Joy has.
Flavio, do you want to address the historic character and the historic regulations?
Well, I don't know if I can persuade anyone from liking or not liking the building. I mean, this is exactly what someone said before. It's personal preference. In my opinion, going with this style of addition is in total respect of the existing stone structure, because it's not trying to be the stone structure. We're not trying to build the exact same thing that was done 200 years ago. And I think that would be a great disservice to that stone building, because it would not marry well with it. You would never get that appearance of age. And with regard to the windows are no larger than any other windows on the street. These are 3 foot by 5 foot windows. It's completely contextual. And although they're not double hung, I mean, that point makes no sense to me.
I'm not suggesting that the addition be stone. I'm suggesting that it mimic the rest of the addition that you have on there.
Well, then we're left with 3 sides of the, one material that gives no interest to the building whatsoever. It would be like a pair of khaki pants and just, has no visual interest from the right of way. We are, altering we're using just 2 materials here with colors that marry well with the stone. And I think that, again, I can't force you to like my architecture, but I absolutely disagree with the fact that this has to match. The siding has to be uniform throughout.
Okay, let me jump in on the basically historic preservation regulations. They do allow for modern additions, contemporary glass boxes, things like that. But the addition should preserve the elements of the original historic building. Now, the survey only talks about the stone building. It doesn't talk about the additions in the back. Our historic survey they went around and did. My concern that I was talking about is that it sort of covers up the existing roof and things like that, and it doesn't create a clear separation saying, I'm new and the stone building is the original, and I'm respecting the height and the floor lines and things like that. But I'm a new addition. And here's the existing stone building. And the way, now, Scott, what you did was you reflected the existing building. You know, you kept the elements, the siding and all that stuff. So, you know, that's one way of looking at it. It's trying to blend in the addition. What Flavio is trying here is to saying, I want to create something new. And by historic standards, that's okay. I'm not arguing with that. But what you had to do is separate the two buildings so that one looks like an addition and the stone building looks like the stone building. Do you know what I'm saying, Flavio?
Yeah, but I don't understand the word separation in this context.
Not physically. Say like a lot of times if you have an addition, they might have a glass connecting link. So you can surely see, here's the original building and here's the thing that I'm building. Now you don't have a lot of space. And so maybe there's other ways you could do it, but I'm just saying that the way the roof line in particular covers up the back of the building, you no longer lose seeing the full effect of what the original stone building was. So if there was some kind of, like if
Well,
you could have your roof going, starting just be right after the gutter line, keeping the gutter line, and then maybe change the pitch of your roof or something like that, or even shearing it off. It'd look weird, but you know, I mean, you could just literally shear it off instead of having it going over the existing roof.
yeah, and I think you should, I don't know if you all had the privilege to stand in the back there and look at the structure from the rear and tell me what you see. It's a shed roof with absolutely, you know, which is the least appropriate probably connection to that house. And it disguises it no less than this addition. So
No, the shed roof does start below the fascia line of the, you know, the gutter line and that fascia board. The roof starts just below that. So you can clearly see what the original building was. And that's how you built buildings before. You didn't go normally going up over the thing, but that was an old historic building. And the shed roof is very, very typical. You know, that's very, very typical of additions. I mean, that's how they were done. So keeping with what Joy's talking about, you know, the addition in the back would meet with those standards. So if you want to do something contemporary, theoretically, you're allowed to do it, but you need to make a clear separation that you can say, oh, this was the original building and this is my addition.
Don't you think that's going to be fairly obvious with the new windows and siding attached to an old stone structure? I mean, I feel like it's going to be an obviously brand new piece, no matter which side you're looking at it
looks like
from.
it's going right into the existing, like it would have been an old contemporary building. I mean, the way the siding, well, actually the vertical siding, but either way.
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be brand new, and you can see if you're trying to match up any kind of hardy plank or any kind of brand new siding, you're going to see that it's new compared to anything else in the area. Even across the street, what Eli's doing, you're going to be able to, everyone's going to know that that's not, you know, old structure or, you know, an old piece. Everything's brand new on it. The same with my building, except for some of the trim work in the front and the porch. So it's obvious that the rest of it's all been brand new.
I think my biggest thing, I would like to see more of a separation in the back, but the biggest thing is the roof line.
Jared, do you have, can you put up one of the pictures of this so that everyone can see it? I'm just concerned because Rita said maybe she hadn't seen it all.
Oh, let me see here. I'm not very good at doing the,
No, online. Yeah, you need to do it online. Okay.
did anyone receive the 3D images?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no idea how to do this.
Well, I'm not sure who's driving the Zoom bus. If somebody can make me co-host, I think I have the application with the original pictures in the back. I can share screen and get it up on the screen if anybody wants to.
That'd be great. That would be great.
Let me know when I'm up.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, Paula, that's you, right?
You're up. I just made you co-host.
See if I can pull this off. We'll see.
Go for it, Joe. I know you can do it.
I like your confidence. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
but where's the proposed?
These are the diagrams, I believe, of the proposal, right? And then these
Yeah.
are the pictures of the existing structure from the back.
And they did renderings also.
So tell me what you want to see, the plans or the pictures?
Do they have the rendering?
Yeah, I don't know that I have the email handy with the rendering unless it's at the bottom of this.
Okay.
Sorry, I just had the original.
Renderings are
application.
what's really better to see.
What?
Yeah, Jerry, if you want to grab the screen, I'll shut down my share and you can put that up. If you
I
like.
was holding this up, this paper copy.
Okay, sorry.
Flavio, can you do it? Can we do it so Flavio can?
I wish I wasn't prepared to bring those up, so.
Okay, well, can you see the rendering here? Okay, so there's the front, and this is looking from the alley, the driveway going in.
Okay, can we make
Yes.
Jerry big? Let's make Jerry's screen big so that that can be seen.
All right, so,
Jerry, if you put it on speaker instead of hit the view and put it on speaker, then you'll be the big picture and everybody else.
okay, so whoever's talking is the big picture.
If you got to click on speaker though, there's a little box that says view. If you click
Yeah.
on the view box, it'll give you an option to click on speaker and that'll make
Oh,
you
I
the big
did.
picture.
I am the speaker, but I think
Okay,
because
I'm
you're
sorry.
talking,
There you go. There you go. I got it. Sorry. Everybody else has got to do that. Not, I had it on gallery. My bad.
Okay,
so anyway, I think, don't I have to, if I'm talking, then I should be the
No,
speaker?
you're all right. You're right. You were right. You're the big picture now.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
Oh, because for me, you're the big picture. So anyway,
right.
I'll stop talking.
okay,
And Jerry, if you don't mind, I think we need to focus on the views as seen from Main Street.
well, I'm going to show them all the renderings.
Okay,
So this is the one from the alley, from Main Street, but looking up the alley.
Right, so if you were walking right by the Yardley Shopping Center, that's the view you would have of the
No,
building.
no, that's from the alley. This is from the shopping center.
No, you've got it reversed.
He does.
Jerry, you have it reversed. That's from the alley.
So if I'm standing on Main Street,
That's from the alley. That's, yeah, you've got it wrong.
you're saying that's from the alley,
Yes, I am.
then the sheet's drawing backwards.
That's Main Street
Well, no, this is Main Street also.
from Yardley Shopping Center. Go,
That's from Yardley Shopping Center.
no. There's no way it is.
Flavio, help me.
okay. So the upper image, if you hold that up, would be from Main Street on the
north.
north side.
Right, so it's from the alley.
No, not the, well, it's from the entrance of the driveway into the shopping center.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Obviously, the other one is from between the fire station and or the alley between the fire station.
Right.
It's a mirror image for me when I'm looking at this.
Well, don't
You're
look
getting it the other way. That's why.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the shopping center.
Right.
And, okay, so that's the back. And that's from the shopping center side?
Yes.
Right, right.
Okay, and that's from the
Rear
rear, okay.
alley.
And this is weird, but anyway, okay. Okay, so does that tell you?
Yep.
Does that help?
Yep. Rita, you got,
Can we see the rear one more time?
The rear, okay.
Rear.
Here. Oops, how's that? Hope my
Okay.
fingernails are clean.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Chair.
So
Yes.
what I'm saying is that if the roof line of the stone building was protected, then I wouldn't have much of a problem with this. Actually, I sort of like the wood siding part. The rest of it's not as exciting, but this part here, I mean, but that's, like I'm saying, as long as they're separated visually, then that's basically what they're looking at. So it's really up to the owner to decide whether they want to integrate it or make it contemporary, but they really shouldn't be trying to do both. Now, I think, Joy, you may not like that, but I think that's basically how historic standards are.
Well, I also think we have to think about what we're introducing in town. And I think this
Sure.
is a major change.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt here, and I've been really quiet and I've been really patient. And I've heard Joy go on and on and on. So here's what we got. The HARB thing that I was told was about the front of the building. It wasn't about the side of the building, it wasn't about the back of the building, it was the front. We kept the building as is in the front of the building to meet what the town should look like. Now, I would tell you, if you really want to have a problem, look across the street where you have buildings falling around because nobody paints their building. That's horrible. We are improving the building so people that are handicapped could come to my office. We are putting a bathroom so I could have a client actually use a restroom and a place where my staff could actually eat in my building. So we're doing things that are trying to do, but I think what I'm getting here is you are overstating, you're overdoing what HARB is about. It's about the front of the building, not the little side of the building that you have to go around on the end and have to look at it. I think you're overstepping your bound, Joy. It's about the front of the building, not the side. And I think Flavio's done a really great job.
Tim?
I'd like to jump in just with a comment on that, is that this addition very much is noticed from the public right of way, even if it's on even though it's on the side of the building, on the back of the building, it's very visible from the public right of way. It's very much in our jurisdiction to be looking at. So it's not like it's a hidden addition like you seem to be describing. So it's a large addition and it's really impacting the building itself and the town. So that's why we're looking at it and why we're trying to give you some feedback. I think that maybe you should bring in maybe a couple other sketch plan ideas so we can discuss it in a little bit more detail. We're not asking you to cut down on square footage, but maybe you could bring in a couple other ideas that might be more agreeable to what we see as the town vernacular.
And
Can we
Art,
do that?
I think we are very pleased that you're trying to upgrade and make the building more usable. And I don't think anybody's commented or argued with that at all. I commend you on your effort on that. So, and I haven't heard any comments saying that anybody's not pleased with you trying to make the building more usable. In fact, the HARB has approved a number of additions, sort of like Scott's, just because it makes the buildings more usable. And I think the HARB realizes that that's an important element. So we're
It is. It is an important element. I mean, it's also important to realize that the owner, the users are going to be putting in, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this done. As I did on 37, it kind of is, because that kind of goes to you need to make it what you want as well as fit in the town, and making it exactly what everyone else wants the town to look like doesn't necessarily mean that that's the appropriate thing for everyone. The alternative here really is that it just stays the way it is, and it's going to look just the way it is, because I'm not going to put any money into that building. That's the alternative.
So what you're are you saying that if it's this design or nothing?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
They're
that,
buying the property from you, right?
yeah, if we can get through this process,
Right.
we can get through this process.
Right.
If not, I'll just rent it, and I'm not going to do any work to it, and it'll look the same, which does not look good, even if it is historically accurate, because it was shoddy when it was done 100 years ago.
Okay, now do you understand where I'm coming from? The board doesn't agree with me, but do you understand where I'm coming from as far as historic standards? And you can argue
do,
with historic standards, you know, from write-ups on historic preservation. So I think we're saying, relook at the design. You know, if it's this is or nothing, then, you know, you can let us know that and we'll go by that. Let me take the second part into the equation here. And I ran the parking calculations with the zoning officer. And based upon my square foot areas, there's 38 parking spaces required for the existing building without the addition. They have 17. I had this written down, and where is it? Okay. They have 7 parking spaces and there's 11 working stations right in the front building that they were talking about. But HARB doesn't, or zoning doesn't look at that. They look at gross square foot area. So
now this is definitely outside of the area
Right,
of
Jerry.
HARB.
Jerry, that's a
This is
zoning thing.
100% outside. I've been
Okay.
dealing with Mike, and I'll deal with Mike.
I will not approve something that I think is in violation of the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, but that's
Jer-
his
but
job
Jerry,
to
this-
his job to
But
stop.
if you are violating the zoning ordinance by having too many parking and then you want to add more, then you're exacerbating the problem in the borough. And so that's a separate issue. And but I'm just telling you that I want the board to know that between the back building and the front building, they need 38 parking spaces. Do you argue with me or not on that, Scott?
Oh, yeah, because I've actually owned the building and rented in the building for 12 years prior to that. So I have 17 years of experience in these buildings. There has never been a parking problem.
Then
This
you
is the
can go to
only
zoning
parking,
hearing board
this is the
and ask
only
for a
parking
variance.
lot, this is the only parking lot in town that hasn't had a problem, except for the new one that I just built.
What's the problem with the new one?
Nothing.
Jerry, the
There's
parking,
neither one.
the parking's between the owner and the zoning officer.
Okay. and
You
I'm
as
just
HARB are
saying
supposed
that-
to be just looking at the building,
So if
not
I
the
am-
parking.
If I am a person who drives my best friend up to the bank and he goes in and robs a bank and hops back in the car and we drive away, I had nothing to do with it because I didn't know he was going to rob the bank. I'm just driving him. I'm just.
But
saying
Jerry, it's
that-
not in your purview to look at parking. Let the zoning officer and the owner of the building take care of that. And that's what they have been doing.
So I'm
And
going
we even got the
HARB
solicitor
knows
involved. So
that-
please just look at it on the HARB aspect.
if this goes to the zoning hearing board, should we be approving we've approved things in the past and there's never been any parking justification and it gets built and then there's more problems in the town. So when HARB approves something, that's telling Borough Council in a way, hey, HARB has reviewed this and we're okay. So
HARB is just
I'm not gonna-
advisory. They're not approving anything. They're not telling Borough Council it's okay with the parking. That's between the
Well,
zoning
we
officer
said
and
that before,
council and the owner.
and
Please
we
just
did
look
that
at the
before.
building, Jerry.
And I've never seen the justification for the vault parking. So
This is not the vault. Jerry, please just look at their building. Don't look
I am
at the
looking at
parking.
their overall thing. So anyway, I'm just telling HARB, I'm not going to approve this because of the parking issue. So you can go ahead and approve it or not approve it. I'm just telling you my stand. Paula has her opinion. I have my opinion that I'm not going to go around and prove something that has parking issues. I would rather have it go to the zoning hearing board and then have the zoning hearing board say it's okay. And then I'll be glad to review it. And then
Okay, well, I'm sorry. So here's the problem. The
Yeah.
problem with this
I'm
is
sorry,
that you're, I'm
We've
sorry.
had applications in the past, Jerry, where there's been a dissenting opinion.
You could approve it all and I'll be a dissenting opinion, that's all.
Well, I've done that before. I've personally done the same thing on different submissions. So
Right.
that's what we should do. I agree with Paula. We
Right.
have to make a judgment or recommendation based on the historical structure of the building. If you want to put a dissenting opinion because on an alternate issue related to zoning parking, that you do not agree with that approval, then you should. And then it'll go to town council and town council has the final word. That's how it works.
I just want to have the zoning officer's approval before we approve it, not after. You know, if the zoning officer gives it okay, great, but the zoning officer hasn't said that yet. He reviews it somehow, but you know, I guess if he reviews it, it doesn't mean that he's approved it.
Correct, because he doesn't have to approve it yet. He doesn't approve it until Borough Council gives it the okay. So please, let's just
Right.
get back to the HARB aspect of it.
The-
And Jerry, I'm going to tell you right now, after 15 years of being in the building, the parking lot has never been more than half full. Never. And the last tenant had 8 employees in that building. So there's never been a problem.
Then that's something that,
Parking lot.
okay, well, that's not my issue. Zoning
Well,
is zoning. It's
You
not.
can't have
having
it both
to-
ways. You can't be concerned about parking and then not concerned about there not being a parking issue. There's not a parking issue for this. And there never has been. You
When I
can't have it
worked in
both
the
ways.
basement, we had 20 people in the building in the back.
I don't care.
This was occupied. Building uses change. So.
Jerry, you
Not
have,
when they're
that's not
owner
my issue here.
occupied, they
I'm just
don't.
telling you what my stand is.
Jerry, you have legitimate concerns, but they're not applicable to this application. We don't cover zoning.
Okay, that's fine.
And so
That's
you can make,
fine. So,
you
that's
can,
up to me.
yes,
I'm just telling you. So
we've heard it.
we've heard it. Now, do we have any motions?
I'll make a motion that, again, I am not, I have certain experience in commercial real estate, but none in his, I'll admit, before my service started on HARB, I have no experience in historical preservation. And I've always deferred to Joy, Jerry, and Tim, who have much longer experience. So I will defer to them on the design of the building and the appropriateness of the building as it faces the street. But as far as taking an existing structure that's over 100 years old and making massive improvements on it to make it a better long-term component of a historical town, group of buildings, I sort of agree with Scott that if your alternatives are leaving it as is and renting it as is, a building that is not one that's going to survive long into the 21st century as a viable commercial location. If the alternative is even a little bit more modernistic approval to the back of the building, essentially, the front building is still historically as it's been for the last 100 years. That appears to me, again, I've lived in this area for 35 years, but my family didn't move here on the canal boat. You know what I mean? 25 years ago. So I'm not invested in a town like some of the others. It seems like a reasonable accommodation to me. But again, I think that's for us to make that recommendation. I agree with the expertise of Jerry, Joy, and Tim on what constitutes acceptable historical renovation, even from the sides and the back. And I'll go along with that. But if it comes down to our recommendation, whether Jerry wants to put his 2 cents in relative to the parking, or Joy or Tim or anybody else wants to say they would rather a different roof line or modern, less modernistic approach to the back of the building, those can all be opinions expressed by HARB, and then it's going to go to the town council, and the town council is going to decide between the existing reality of a building that's not going to attract good tenants and good commercial presence in the town and this proposed renovation. I mean, at some point, it's a choice between alternatives.
I don't think you can leave that up to council. That's not fair to them.
Well,
They have to make a recommendation one way or the other.
they're
No,
gonna,
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and again, your recommendation, the collective recommendation of the board might be against.
Right.
And
So you're not making a motion, you're just-
that could very well be.
So you're doing a discussion, not a
No,
recommendation.
yeah, sure. I'm sorry. Well, you asked for recommendation. That's mine. So if mine is the minority opinion, mine will be the dissenting vote. I understand that. I'm not trying to.
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is I think it's a reasonable adjustment to the current.
So approve as submitted.
Pardon me?
Your recommendation is to approve it as submitted.
Again, I'll state it again. I am not the expert on historical renovation. If I could be, if Jerry and you are, and I defer to you and your opinion on whether the improvements are, we're not building McDonald's on the back of this building. You're building, a modernistic addition. So again, if you're, I'll defer to you because you are the expert on this stuff, and I will defer to that. So if you sincerely believe that the recommendation is a catastrophic, adjustment to the historical character of the town, I will defer to you because you know more about this than I do. But if you ask me if this modern update, making it a much more usable business that could be occupied by businesses that will invest in the town over the long term, I would be in favor of that. So again, I haven't heard an argument that says that this is, not the way this building should have been developed, or that the developer currently has an obligation to correct the last 100 years worth of mistakes. Again, I haven't heard an argument that supports that, but I'm willing to listen for sure.
Is there yes, Tim?
I could make a motion,
Okay.
and it would be that I would like to make a motion to see an alternative elevation, because I'm hearing for the consensus of the board that there's issues with the aesthetics and the historical appropriateness. And I'd like to request that the applicant bring in another elevation that might take into consideration some of the comments they heard tonight. I do not have trouble with the size of it. I think that if there's zoning concerns, Jerry, I think you should bring them up with the zoning officer by way of a letter or something like that, maybe something to town council. I do see your point, but I mean, I don't think that that's where we should be with it, but I mean, you can certainly communicate that to the appropriate people. But I think that sensibly, we should just have another round of elevation that takes into consideration, what we've been commenting on tonight, if that would be acceptable to the applicant. That's where I would want to
I
be.
think a motion to defer would be come before a motion to approve or reject with conditions or non-conditions. Am I right? Is anybody parliamentarian on that or not? Joy?
Well, the applicant has to agree to,
Oh, I know, but this.
right. So
but
that would be just a mute.
proposing supersede what Joe proposed. Or
We should probably vote.
Fabio, is this even a doable thing, or should I just forget about this?
So
whole thing?
I have to be honest with you. I've heard very vague criticism of this addition. I've heard something about roof lines, of something about siding. I mean, I have nothing tangible to work from at this point to help me move forward with this design. There's no consensus on what is disagreeable about this addition. And I don't know if I come back with another round that there's going to be any consensus. How do we move forward at this point? Because none of these arguments make any sense to me. We're talking about two gable roofs that would be entirely appropriate for this addition. They are forms that are not modern in any way, shape, or form. It's completely historical. We have a horizontal siding. Nobody has convinced me with one argument that there's something about this that is modern. First of all, it's not a modern addition. If you look up modern, you won't find any of these elements other than maybe the vertical siding. And in fact, vertical siding, I'd heard a comment where there was liked. So I'm more than confused at this point.
the vertical siding is more historic than the other panel that you painted
Where
with
do
that
we
little
have
box.
every structure on Main Street has horizontal siding, and many of them have a cement board siding at this point, which is exactly what this is.
Your spacing is wider than a typical board and batten kind of system.
There
like
is
that?
no
You've got boards and
typical, there's
battens?
no standard to horizontal siding. Over history, it has varied from building to building. That is completely false, that there's a standard.
You mean the vertical siding?
Yeah, but
Your
But
building is
you-
basically vertical siding, not horizontal.
Jerry, you said you liked it. Why are we even talking about the vertical siding?
Oh, I'm just clarifying what you were saying.
Yeah, but I have nothing to work from at this point. Nobody has told me with any consensus what needs to be done at this point. We have
Well, you're
five
not,
different
are you
opinions.
asking us to redesign it?
Can you?
I don't think it's our place.
Right. I don't think so either. I'm quite offended by this process because this is completely just a free-for-all of criticism.
Is the roof line a criticism? Why
I
is
don't
that not a criticism?
Tell me what is wrong with a pitched roof.
I am saying that what you want to do is to preserve the existing. Are you saying that this is to be a historic addition? Look, that addition looks historic?
I don't think
Is it
that's
gonna
the
be historic
argument.
or is it
The
going to be
question-
modern?
What is, I just don't understand. I don't understand what is wrong with a pitched roof.
Do you want historic or modern?
Either. I don't even
Well,
understand the
which one are you
question.
proposing?
I don't understand your question.
Gary, I just, listen, I'm the applicant, and I just think you guys are nitpicking. I heard windows, I heard roof line. I mean, the building will be beautiful, much more than what I'm seeing now. And if you have to go around a corner to say, wow, this doesn't look, doesn't look what it did 200 years ago. But when people go down that alley, go, wow, that's a beautiful building. I'm just flabbergasted that you guys are objecting to this.
Let me
Last-
just clarify for once and for all, my only objection is to the vertical siding and the placement of those windows on that corner. And I will have no problem with this. The roof line, I don't agree with Jerry at this stage of the game. I appreciate the fact that you are trying to make this a usable, profitable business building for yourself. You have the right to do that, and I support you in that. My issue was that corner, especially, just in this rendering that I keep looking at on my iPad down here. That's why I have my eyes cast down. It just jumps out. And you did use the term modern, I think, at the last meeting, or an updated, or you used some sort of term, but so I use the modern term. That's the term I threw around. I'm having a problem with that. That's the only problem. I'm not having a problem with the rest of it, the structure of it. I just would, if that was all incorporated in the rest of the siding of that building, of the new structure, it would be fine. And we don't ever we can't attempt to make it be a 100-year-old or a 200-year-old addition. We know that. We're not trying to do that.
I have a question. The renderings you have all horizontal siding.
Correct.
The submission that we got had vertical siding.
It was revised. You're not looking at the more updated drawing.
This is the one I'm looking at. You can't see it.
But that's the renderings.
Yeah, we
I'm just
can.
saying the elevations and plans we got have vertical siding.
And it's that corner that gets me. If that's not what
So
happened,
you're
then
saying the elevations, these elevations were revised? Or
Yes,
just the rendering?
both. They were all sent to
Paula,
Paula, correct.
Or Patty, or,
or Patty, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Didn't see them, no. I didn't see them.
Yeah, I didn't see them either.
No.
we're
I just,
arguing over something that doesn't exist. And if that's the case, I apologize profusely.
so now it's all horizontal siding. Not
No.
vertical.
No, I think that what
It
you're
was a
looking
mix.
at, the renderings are the most updated option.
You had the right ones, Jerry, with the renderings, but not the sketches. The 3Ds were correct, right?
The
Flavia?
CAD, yes, the 3Ds are correct. The CAD elevations were also updated, but I don't think Jerry has those.
Yeah, I didn't see those.
Flavio, what if you just address the vertical siding that's on that back corner and do something that's contrasty, that's more horizontal, to make it a little bit more traditional? Is that something that you could see your way doing?
So, okay, I heard two things. I heard horizontal and contrast.
Right.
Which one am I supposed to be?
Well, I think you can use horizontal material and do it in a different color or do it in a different texture or something like that. You know, I'm sure you're the architect, you can come up with something. Maybe it's as simple as that. I mean, I think
Okay.
the way the addition meets the historic house at the roof line level, I think is appropriate because of the ceiling heights. I understand these old buildings, I've actually dealt with this very similar problem. So I don't see that as a problem. But I do hear what Joey's saying, and I think it might be as simple as that back corner. Just give us something a little bit more, I don't know, like just down to earth or traditional, and maybe that's enough. You know, maybe that's enough. I mean, I think the window configuration is nice back there. Maybe it's the drawing or the 3D drawing that we all have that's turning us off or something. You know, I do not have any elevations. I want to tell you that. I have a big packet here and I didn't see any elevations.
Okay.
Would have helped, I would have thought. So maybe we just address that back corner and we can move on and get you guys to some point of moving forward here.
I understand. I'm just afraid that if I mean, I think the solution that you might be after won't give you the desired effect. That corner is the only corner that really has any prominence. And that's one of the reasons why I chose the materials that I did.
And can you elaborate on the materials and what it really looks like? Because this rendering is not helping me. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what material? Is it a stained wood, something like
Well,
that?
no, and in this case, it's a composite material. So just
Okay.
we're in the interest of maintenance, but it has very much the appearance of a stained wood,
Okay,
of a
sure.
mahogany, for instance.
Right.
You know, the modern place down along the river, just going towards Washington Crossing,
I'm sorry, what is the place?
just beyond Scudder's Falls Bridge,
Right,
going north.
the house.
The house, yeah, that has this kind of siding on it.
Sure, I'm familiar.
You know what I'm talking about, Tim?
And it's a contrasting color. Is that what we're seeing? Is this
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically like a hardy plank kind of material? It's just a different color.
Correct.
Right.
Well, yeah.
the rendering that I'm looking at has the horizontal hardy plank at the front attached to the stone, and then it goes to the vertical. So
Right.
there's already a contrast there.
Right. That's nice. That's a
Well,
nice part of it.
Right, right.
Well, what you have with the horizontal siding is now more keeping with that historical character that we've seen around other editions, like your own, like on, you know, your edition. So, I mean, that's what Joy's getting for. So with the horizontal siding, I think she'd probably be more comfortable. Joy?
Yes.
So,
That's what I've said over and over.
and
I
that's,
don't think the vertical siding adds anything. I think it calls attention to the corner, and I don't understand.
no.
I don't.
Well, Joy, to be honest with you, thank you for that comment, because there's nothing that's nicer to hear than that it brings attention to that corner. And that's entirely the point. Otherwise, we're going to have three sides of horizontal cement board and of no interest whatsoever. And if that's the point of this exercise, then I guess that's what I'll have to deliver.
I agree with Flavio. I like these corners.
I think it might come down to coloration. I think maybe if there's not such a strong contrast between the color of the horizontal and the vertical, that it's a little bit softer, that it could be perfectly fine.
I think
Maybe it's just in this elevation that we're looking at.
I think the contrast is what you want. You want it to stand out as it's a new addition. It's a modern, it's a new addition. It's not
But you were asking.
existing.
Well, it's kind of a bright orange on my copy, so I don't know.
Well, this is
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
fine
what's intended. I don't
wood.
think so. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, try to picture a walnut or a mahogany, very warm wood tone. Not
Right.
certainly not orange.
Okay. Right.
Is it similar to the color on the house going, you know, above Scottish Falls Bridge?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what color they chose, but that rings a bell, that color too, and I think that is very, very, very similar.
So if we postpone this for 2 weeks, could maybe the HARB drive up there and look at that for the contrast? And I think he's right in being able to do that contrast, showing that this is a modern addition. Not all things have to be historic. I mean, if it's a brand new building, it's, you know, it's 2021, it's not 1850. So in
Thank-
that aspect, he's
They
right.
don't even agree.
And can we just make a note and get the vote on this with the changes we're discussing? Because all you're doing, we're delaying, and
We don't
then
even have
after,
we don't even have the revised elevations.
And you guys don't even agree. I mean, this is like the most unbelievable board. I've never seen 4 different opinions and none of you agree. One likes it, one doesn't like it, one likes vertical, one likes horizontal, one likes mahogany, one doesn't. You guys are all over the place.
Well, in all fairness, this is part of the process. We're just talking through this to get to a,
Yeah, but I mean, I was here 30 days ago. You've had plenty of time to talk about this. I hate to be rude, Tim, but I mean, you're really delaying, you're delaying us.
by month.
I don't want to, I want to find a way to not delay you, to be honest.
And we don't
No.
talk or discuss these applications outside of these meetings. That's
No, they don't allow that.
not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
If that was the case, I could have, had a conversation with someone, but I haven't done that. We're not allowed to do that. This is the forum where we do it. And unfortunately, this is the process, as Tim says.
So is there any way, Jerry, to make a statement about the vertical siding and the description of it, that we can say that we can approve it if it's based on such and such and such and such, just to kind of get this to be moved forward a little bit and make it palatable
Right.
for everybody?
Well,
Is
what
there any
are
language you can
proposing?
suggest?
You can propose something. And then we can vote.
Yeah.
Why don't we have Joy propose, since she's got the strongest version of
no,
what
because-
she.
No, because what I would
No.
propose is not going to be agreed to. So, and that's fine. I think, if Tim can come up with, I mean, I'm aware of what the building looks like up on River Road or along the river.
I think if it's in harmonious tone with the color of the horizontal clapboard, unlike the elevation and drawing I'm looking at, which I think is where I'm finding objection.
Can
I
you
think
hold yours up, Tim? Can you
What's
hold
that?
yours up to the screen?
this,
Yeah.
right. See what I mean? It's, I don't think it's what they're clearly representing. I mean, unfortunately, it's not printed nicely. Maybe it's my printer. I don't know what it is, but. So, I
think
mean,
mine's a little darker than that.
so I mean,
Um,
if the wood section was in harmony with, the color of the horizontal clapboard,
Could we
I
get,
think it
col-
could look much better.
could we get color samples of the 2 colors?
That can be done, yes.
Yeah, I think that might help a lot.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. If we could, if we can just, how can we expedite that, Jerry? How can we?
Well, I mean, it's 2 weeks we're talking about. So, I mean,
I think
so
that's a
often we're asked to make a decision
suggestion,
right
Jerry.
on the spot, and
Looking at a building on the river that happens to have been built at about the same time. I think that's a much better suggestion. I mean, if it's not like we're going to look at that building north of the Scudder's Fall Bridge and say, we like that color, so go use that color. I mean, it's not up to us. They should-
but it's better to have them give us a sample. Typically, if we were sitting in a meeting room, we would bring samples.
Yeah, I was going to make that point. Typically, we would see samples that the applicant would bring something in. It would be really clear to see what the intent is there. I think the intent is probably really good, Jerry. I just, we just need a little bit more clarification on it. So I think that's where we are. So.
Art, can you give us 2 more weeks? And maybe you could put color samples right beside the building, say like towards the shopping center, so that people can come up and look at it right next to the stone and everything else.
Are you speaking?
When's the next council meeting?
Paula
Paul,
I'm looking.
or John?
First Tuesday of February.
So it's the 2nd and the 16th. But can you approve as submitted and then have that change come later so that they can get moving?
No, we can't make approval.
Or approve as submitted with these 2 colors?
That still doesn't leave council with something solid. If we say, hey, we don't like it, then what's council going to do? They approve it and then we say, oh, we're going to retract it. We have to be definitive for council. It's really not fair.
Are we down to the color choice, Jerry? Is that correct? Or is there more to the suggested changes?
Well, I think my roof line idea isn't getting any traction with the rest of the HARB, so
And
And in all fairness, I don't think it's about colors. We do not review colors.
Right.
Joe, it's not about colors. It's about interpretation of what I see in front of me and trying to understand what the intent is. And I'm trying to get to a point where I think it's going to be aesthetically really pleasing and appropriate. But I don't have quite enough information. So, I mean, I would like to approve it based on what we see in the material, but we don't see the material. So we're at a disadvantage because we're on a Zoom meeting rather than actually at Borough Council, which would be typical review process.
and I'd like to see the
Making it-
actual
making it
elevations.
hard.
also.
Yeah, making it hard.
I'd also like to see the elevations, not just the renderings.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful too. And I'm sorry we don't have them.
The
So,
the
I don't know.
renderings show the gutter and a little more overhang, which is something we were looking at. And the elevations didn't have that. So I think there's been some changes that have been, helped what we were asking for from before. So it'd be nice if we could have the elevations and the color samples.
Jerry, is it ever possible? I'm not sure we've ever done this, but I mean, is it possible we could convene before 2 weeks briefly to just review the elevations and the actual material they're going to be using? Could we do that?
They're publicly
next couple of weeks?
advertised. They're publicly advertised meetings. So there'd have to be a special advertisement,
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
right, Paula?
If
Yeah.
the whole thing comes down to, if the whole thing comes down to you seeing elevations and color, I don't mind waiting the 2 weeks. But if there's going to be new stuff and it just continues to drag, guys, it just is really debilitating to me.
Well,
So-
I really can make we can make a motion that says specifically what we're talking about tonight. Here's what we want to see. There may be some discussion on what we see, but fundamentally the general concept that you're putting on the table, we need to agree that it's acceptable. I think that's what you're saying, right? We don't want to reject the whole idea. We just want to get a little bit more clarity.
But I don't think you can really say, hey, give us more clarity and then say, no, we don't like it in 2 weeks. Once you say, yes, that's what we're going to do, then it's going to be an interpretation of, well, you don't like this or that or something like that. And then you're leaving them on the hook and then someone else has to make a decision. And I think you got to be clear.
So I just want to clarify, you need to see a sample of the vertical siding,
Wait, you don't have,
the
and
vertical element.
And the horizontal.
and
The horizontal is cement board. I think we all agree what
6-inch
that
lap,
is.
8-inch lap, 12-inch lap.
Yeah, it's six,
Comes in
it's
eighths,
shown as
right?
6 inch.
Yeah.
Okay, well then we don't know that. You haven't given us any information. These are very preliminary drawings in any case. So, I mean,
Okay.
so give us a sample of what you're talking about. The vertical and the horizontal, so we can see the actual size and everything else.
Okay. And who is going to receive that?
Paula
Okay.
or Patricia. I don't know who does that. And then would you be comfortable with putting this? I don't want them to disappear. It would be nice if they were there by the stone building, right in the corner.
There's a glass door in the back, in front of the back door, and it could be put
Yeah.
in the middle
Would that be
between the
secure?
doors.
That would be helpful. Yeah.
Because that way we could look at it with the stone and everything else and get a better feel for it. So,
Okay, I hope I can secure these materials in this short period of time.
well, let us know.
Okay,
If you're finding a problem with it, let us know.
Okay.
fair enough.
So we'll postpone it for 2 weeks, and then hopefully we should have, I think we're getting really close.
So we're going to miss the second meeting.
Right. I guess.
So we're going to be on our,
Yeah.
Well, we meet in the 2 weeks, so, but we meet just after Borough Council.
Right, and we can't do anything without Borough Council.
Right. Well, you still have other issues to get through anyway, so.
Yeah, and Jerry, we've been working, Paul and I have been talking to Mike.
Mhm.
I've been talking to Mike for months about this.
Right.
So,
Anyway, so I mean, so you probably won't have a resolve right away anyway, so 2 weeks probably isn't gonna make any difference to you.
actually, it's almost resolved now, so.
Right. So
But-
then they will come back February 4th so that they
Okay.
could be on the February 16th meeting for council.
First and third, yep. February 4th, yep.
We'll do our best to make that happen, absolutely.
Okay. Is that all right, Art?
I guess I don't have any other choice, but I will tell you, if this again keeps going, guys, you're making this really difficult for me.
All right. Okay, thank you, the other applicants, for hanging in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
So 01 is 146 South Main Street. Heather, are you still here?
I
Nope.
am,
Hope,
yeah.
You're enjoyed this.
That was great. I loved it. It was great.
Okay. Do you want to explain what you're proposing?
I want a shed in my
We
backyard.
could go, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So basically, you're proposing to put your shed somewhere where your canvas shed is? Maybe it's
Did you see my canvas shed?
in your application.
Oh, as long as you didn't see it. Oh, you can see it.
Right here.
Yes, so actually it's gonna be, when you're looking at the picture, the shed will be to the right of
Right.
the canvas shed.
Right. So, did everybody in the get to see the application?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there any discussion? Or, yeah.
How visible is this from
Clarification.
the right of way, Jerry?
It's faces South Main Street or South Street.
Faces South Street.
So
Okay.
it's very visible from South Street, but it's very detached from the original building.
No, I don't see any issue with it whatsoever, really, if that's the case.
Is it
Rita,
same footprint size?
what?
Same footprint
It's
size?
It's about 2 feet
12.
longer.
I think it's
It's-
9 by
it's-
12,
It's 8 by 12.
8 by 12. So it's under 100 square feet. And the zoning has setback lines for over 100 square feet, which was your neighbor to the back had that issue, but you don't have that issue. And you're setback because you have the driveway to the right anyway.
Okay.
So is there any recommendations?
I make a recommendation that we approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
I second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We haven't voted yet.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, it's approved. So it goes to council. Whenever council is, so
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. 37 South Main Street. Scott. Oh,
Yep.
Scott again. Hi, Scott. That's
Yeah.
why you're still here.
That's why I'm still here.
Okay. Do you want to explain what you're proposing?
I just need a placard sign, dual post out in front of the building. I don't need it big, so it's smaller and narrower than almost, I think, every other sign on the street because I don't want it to stand out that much. It'll be on the second post, right where the current landscaper's little placard is.
Did everybody get to look at the site, see where the landscape plaque sign is?
Yeah.
Okay. My main comment was that you sent a sketch plan in that said it would be 12 foot back from the street curb line,
Yep,
and that's not gonna happen.
it is,
No
because
way
I
it can
used a
happen.
tape.
It's
Okay,
17 foot from the curb line to the porch.
well, use a tape measure. I did.
Yeah, I did too. Anyway, first of all, I want to commend you for the sign. I think it is excellent. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What it does, being 5 foot high, it keeps it below, you know how you have the little
Oh, yeah.
decoration on the columns?
Hmm.
It keeps it below that height. So what it does is it doesn't take away from the porch at all. And I think that's what you're trying to do. And
I need signage, but I just don't want it to stand out.
And I think you did an excellent job on that. From my measurements, it would be about 9 foot off of the curb line. Your sign is 4 foot, and that would give you about 4 foot to the porch, which would
Yeah. Basically, Mike says I need to shove it up right against the porch.
well,
It needs to be 12 foot off the curb line according to code,
right.
and not that any other sign on the street is, but
So Scott, what I would like to do is in the recommendation is that the 12 foot that the sign be aligned with adjoining signs.
yeah, they're all like
freestanding
10 or 9.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think as far as a recommendation, I'd like to put that before council, and then it's up to Mike to do what he has to do. But as far as HARB goes, I would like to make that recommendation that it aligned with the other freestanding signs adjacent to the property, or up 1 or 2. And the only other thing is that I would like to see the 5 foot from the top of curb, from the elevation of the curb. In other words, you just say 5 foot, but doesn't say what from, and I'm just saying from the top of the curb. It's probably about,
Yeah, I mean, it's probably 8 inches higher where it's going than the curb.
yeah, so I'm just saying.
So I have some room underneath it that I could I can shorten it. I don't need it that tall.
So,
Jerry, why don't you, when you're writing this up, or when we vote on it, in terms of the placement of it, why don't you also indicate that it's to preserve the front facade so that it doesn't interfere with the porch, that's why you're
Absolutely.
recommending that? Okay.
absolutely.
And
Historical
the applicant obviously agrees with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And my only other question is, what are the materials? I didn't see anything in the application about materials.
I mean, it's going to be all wood except for the actual names will be on a white, composite that doesn't rot, but it'll be wood.
Okay.
The backboard will be composite.
The backboard will be wood. The placards, with the names on them, they'll be the composite.
Okay.
Tim, you have experience on this stuff. Sometimes wood deteriorates.
Yep, it
Okay.
does.
Depends on what it is and how it's done. I'm sure he's going to do a first-class job on it. To be
Yeah.
I was going to say it's going to be sealed up pretty tight, but
I mean, the way he did
30
the
years
rest
from
of the
now.
building, yeah, I have no doubt that it's going to be first class. So
Okay.
yeah, I like it. I'm happy to approve it.
Yeah, so I'll put that in the note also. There would be a wood sign with composite nameplates. All right.
Great.
Okay.
Do we have any recommendations?
I recommend we approve as submitted.
Second,
With my modifications?
Yes, sorry, with
yeah,
your,
with Jerry's modifications.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okey-doke.
Approved. Approved as recommended.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. It's a very good sign. And I hope it becomes a sample for everything else down the street.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. The fourth application, 10 North Main Street.
Yes, Nick Capatas from Sign Pros, located in Gloucester Township, New Jersey. What we have is an existing location that's a bank changing ownership to William Penn Bank. The existing signs will be replaced with new signs. The sizes will be the same and the material will be the same. The only difference at this time will be the name change. So we've got a sandblasted sign over the at the front entrance, exact same size as what's up there, except for using obviously the William Penn colors, which are the Pantone 534C and the Pantone 200C, which is the red and the blue that they use on all their properties. The second sign is an illuminated sign that just goes over the ATM machine. Now that is a piece of plastic, but once again, the same colors it will illuminate. It's existing and it is backlit now. And then the third sign, which is a double-sided sign, I guess for the shopping center, this is an NDO type of plywood material, what's up there currently. And once again, same colors and same size and same material that's existing.
So what is that sign that's on the wall above the air conditioning unit on the outside? Is that a new sign?
They pulled that off of that. For some reason, I was given instructions to not ask for that sign because it doesn't comply, I think, with your ordinance.
Okay, so
So if that's part of your package, we want to take that off.
it is part of our package, yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, so if we amend the application, they actually called me today and told me to pull that sign.
Okay.
I mean, unless you guys, I mean, I'm under the impression it's not a permitted sign.
I
I
think
think you're only allowed so many signs.
Okay.
You're allowed a wall sign and a, whatever, the directory sign.
Directory
So
sign.
that's why,
Freestanding.
yeah.
Yes, they asked me to pull that.
Okay.
So,
Other than that, Jerry, I certainly don't have any trouble with it. It's pretty straightforward.
so is a recommendation for approval is submitted?
I would
I
recommend.
recommend,
Go ahead.
we approve as submitted.
Second,
I'll second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approved. So Nick,
Just a quick question.
are you with the bank or are you with the
Sign people.
sign people?
With the sign company.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So can you just guys tell me the process now that the board has given its recommendation? Is there still a permit process? Or does this basically move this forward?
Our recommendation, I'll type it up probably on Saturday, and it'll go to the HARB board and council. And then the next council meeting, they would approve it.
Okay.
So that we recommend council approves.
And that's the first Tuesday in February council meets to approve.
Right. Because there's no, it's approved as submitted. It's your chance whether you want to start. Do you have the signs fabricated yet or not?
We haven't yet, but I think I'm under the impression that the bank has taken over this property. Do you guys know that?
They
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
You know, they moved. Yeah, so I think they're giving us some pressure to get this sign up as quickly as possible. I mean, as long as I'm assuming the council's going to approve what you guys approve. So my only question is, I didn't want to, if you have a construction official, I don't want to make them upset if we go and get this sign done quickly.
I guess it's the zoning officer that approves the sign permits, not the building inspector.
Okay,
So talk to the sign, the zoning officer who's approving the signs.
Well, the
Okay.
permit wouldn't be released though until after council gives a.
Right,
So
The
what
other
was-
thing you could do is a temporary sign.
yeah.
What's the date of the council meeting that I think that's what he's asking. Is February 2nd, is it?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
yeah,
Right.
pretty
So
soon.
after that council meeting, ours is just a recommendation. Council has to vote on it. And once they vote on it, then you get the permit. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that. Now, if you're
Okay.
asking whether you should be making the signs at this point to expedite, that's gone up to you.
Right.
Council could deny it, which is very unlikely, but you know, you may want to do, if you decide to go into production, that's your business.
Okay, thank you. I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
And as someone mentioned, they could put up a temporary sign.
Yeah, these signs are small and there's no reason. We'll just, to make a sandblasted sign takes me about 2 weeks anyway.
Hmm,
So the timing will be just about right.
okay,
So thank you all.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Jerry, can we
Yeah.
just backtrack for just a few minutes on something?
Sure.
And there's no issue with talking about 19 South Main just as a board without the applicant? Can we discuss that a little bit?
I'm not sure that we really are supposed to be able to do that.
I don't know what the rules are in regard to that.
Yeah,
so.
well, yeah, I'm not sure.
I just quickly want to say that, you know, before we got elevations that were drawn, you know, this was the board in Batten that, you know, of course, none of us
yeah.
really liked, but without getting, you know, without being in receipt of the elevations, I mean, we were at a real disadvantage to really review this.
Yeah,
So unless somebody else got them, I certainly didn't get them. And so all we had was a three-dimensional drawing that was very difficult to interpret. If we had elevations, I'd be in a much better position to be making comments. And I certainly wanted to say that, but you know, I think that was the crux of it. It's what made it difficult. So.
Well, also, we didn't discuss anything else. We didn't discuss windows. We didn't discuss any of the material.
Right. I mean, because, yeah, they just didn't give us a lot of information here. So makes it hard to make a decision, you know,
Right.
and it makes it hard to find consensus. So
Do we have information on windows and that kind of stuff? Is there, I'll go back and look, but.
well, on the,
no, they gave us very, very little.
well, on the original drawings, the elevations, there's a lot of notations about window sizes and I think even window brands, things like that. But they didn't bother making those up or at least submitting those for the revision. So that made it a little bit more difficult. So
Can we ask for that?
we did. I thought we did. I mentioned it. I don't know.
All right, well, I wonder if that should be spelled out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, not just samples of materials, because that's what I said. It was not just a matter of reviewing colors, but it was also a matter of understanding what the material is that they want to use.
And you know, we don't have purview over color, so
No, it's not what we're talking about. It's about, you know, understanding what the material is, and even without the elevations, you know. So I always have a problem with getting beat up at these meetings when really the bottom line is like the applicants are trying forcefully and aggressively to make us have a decision when they haven't provided us with enough information for us to do so. I mean, that's crazy. And I've been to many HARB meetings on the other side of the table, and I'm always super prepared. I bring everything in. A lot of applicants do. These guys bring in nothing, and then they criticize them and they look down their nose at us, you know? So I'm just annoyed, you know?
This is
it shouldn't work
strictly
that.
a real estate. It's just something to, you know, it's land development. You know, basically the whole thrust isn't so much the design. It's, you know, see what we can do to and make a sale for the property. I mean, it's not.
But we're trying to make.
That's why they don't have details.
And we're trying to make a recommendation that makes sense for the town, and
Right.
without enough information, it's as simple
Right.
as that. And it's too bad they have to come back in 2 weeks. But I mean, it's like if you're more prepared, you know, you would think with a professional architect, you'd be more prepared.
But I wish we could have started off with that then, you know, I mean, because we were all over the place. Some of their argument was correct, but
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
you pointed out, it is the process.
right,
The thing is, we wouldn't be all over the place if we had clear documents.
right. That's my point. That's
Right,
my point.
Right.
So,
I don't think that was made forcefully enough. It's a good point. It's a good
Yeah.
point to make.
and I think 2 weeks ago or whenever they came in before, I think we also made that point for them to come in, remember, with a 3D rendering, so we would have that, you know, so they brought that, okay, but they didn't bring more details about what they're doing. So
Rita-
awfully hard to, you know, to make a decision based on that. So,
Rita, I resent the application to you, so you'll see what we were looking at.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Check your email from me.
So maybe we could just, maybe, I know in the recommendation, Jerry, is it just a recommendation for them to bring us the materials, or was there also a recommendation worded so that we know that we're going to get these elevations? Or we can just maybe have.
It was
Patty-
elevations in the materials, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that needs to be spelled out and sent to them in an email, because otherwise,
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, I would do that. And then, Patty can do that, or Paula or whatever. And then maybe we can get these elevations, if they exist, we can get those as quickly as possible. So,
Yeah, when I send the other 3 applications to council, I'll also send as part of the email what we're looking at, and you all get copied on that. So,
okay, all right. Okay,
Joe, are you okay?
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So,
all right, everybody.
take care.
was everybody okay with the year-end review?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Nicely done. Yeah.
You weren't too bored?
No,
It's
you,
interesting, we didn't have as many signs.
you did a great job. It was fun.
And you threw in the part about enforcement. I like that.
Yes.
Right, yeah, seeing as
Yeah, throw
Dr.
that in. I understand.
Dr. What's his name hasn't taken down his vinyl fence or covered it yet?
Yeah,
No, he did a beautiful job. You didn't see what he did?
Oh, he did change it.
Oh, no, he did a fantastic job, actually. Yeah, have you seen it, Joey?
yes.
Yeah,
okay.
no, he put a molding around it. He did, I was really pleased. I was meaning to, when I see him next, to tell him he did a really nice job on it. So,
Oh, okay.
Have you
oh
noticed?
yeah, right by it. Yes, yes.
Yeah, look at the
Goodness.
side. The side is much better than the front.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, then we'll see you in 2 weeks then, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Joe.